Hey, good evening, and welcome to my final presentation. This is Module 6, the final reflective video and then slide presentation. So this is me presenting my slideshow. I honestly hope I'm doing this right. I don't have a way to project this and then capture it. So if it's not correct, I'm sorry. But anyway, what I'm going to start with is a brief overview of each module and what we learned, and then how it applies to my teaching, my PE teaching, and then summarize with some of my main takeaways from this class. So, first module was called Concerns Related to Engaging in Physical Activity and Risky Health Behaviors. The key points that I came away with are that students with low health literacy are more likely to make poor diet choices, eat fewer fruits and vegetables, they get less sleep per night, and report a lower quality of life overall. Students with low health literacy are also less likely to be physically active, which leads to increased obesity rates and the diseases and health problems that go along with obesity and being overweight. Most students do not get 60 minutes of daily physical activity, but it's been found that having support from peers, family members, and access to places to actually go outside and play can improve on these numbers. There's also trends among high school students, and particularly trends related to bullying, mental health, and suicide that are not encouraging, and this is true particularly among LGBTQIA individuals. So the way that applies to my own teaching is that PE teachers need to focus more on more than just physical skills in order to help children grow into physically literate adults. Fitness should be seen as a lifelong goal, not just a PE class goal. Therefore, I need to be making sure to teach about nutrition, how to make healthy life choices, how to resist peer pressure, and other important life skills in PE. Also need to encourage students to be active outside of schools and overcome barriers to physical activity. Students in my school do have limited access to safe play spaces, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't be active. They just need to learn how and ways to be safe when they do it. Mental health is also an important part of being physically healthy, so I need to make sure to plan my lessons that teach students how to reduce their stress, promote their positive choices, and improve their own self-image. And then specifically, LGBTQIA students need to feel safe, seen, and valued in PE class, especially given the history of PE being taught by and tailored to the straight athletic types. Module 2 was called Developmentally Appropriate Practices for Motivating Engagement in Physical Activity and Self-Care. The key points I came away with were that humanities-oriented physical education provides a more well-rounded knowledge of sport. It incorporates skills, but also strategy, history, philosophy, and even art into the general unit about each sport. This can encourage students who may not have as much motivation to engage in strictly playing sports, and it provides them with an alternate access point. Students' enjoyment of PE is also often affected by the behavior of their peers as well as the involvement of their instructors. When students are off task and/or instructors are not engaged, students report less enjoyment from their PE classes. And lastly, challenging students to use critical thinking, communication, and problem-solving skills in PE builds important social skills while also building physical skills. This can lead to better peer interactions and improved self-confidence. To apply that to my own teaching, I need to make sure that my PE classes are well-rounded and focused on more than just skill acquisition. I need to make sure to provide students with access points that challenge their brains, encourage a variety of interests, and that's a great way to improve participation and motivation. Building good routines and having a plan to deal with off-task behavior is a top priority for me. Students notice when their time is being wasted, and I don't want to do that. I need to set a good example and continue to be physically active with my students. It's something that I strive to do, and I'm going to continue that. And I'm going to do my best to plan lessons that engage the mind as well as the body. Creating a class that's interesting, challenging, and full of high-interest activities is a challenge for any teacher, but to be successful and to feel like I'm making a difference to students, I need to make sure to do that. And last, try to create opportunities for students to be active outside of PE. So that would mean coordinating and planning with other teachers, colleagues in my building, to make sure that they're not just brain breaks, but actually giving the students an opportunity to move within their classrooms and also build on the skills they're learning in PE. Module 3, Effective Strategies to Develop Self-Motivated Learners. The first article we read focused on unstructured physical activity, which allows students to, unstructured physical activity, which allows students to use their creativity, challenge themselves to solve problems, and build social skills. This unstructured time does have an important place in PE, and it also helps meet many of the objectives of the national PE standards, particularly Standard 4 and Standard 5. Overemphasis on skill building and fitness tests do not necessarily lead to increased physical literacy, so the students need to learn about movement, power application, strength training, and conditioning, then be allowed to train in each domain. This helps increase overall physical literacy. And giving students a choice in their workload, their skill progression, and their level of competition can increase their motivation and participation across PE classes. This applies to my own teaching. By providing students options, I need to make sure that I need to make sure to provide students options when it comes to fitness and competition. It's something I strive to do, but learning to do it effectively at every grade level and for every unit is something that I'm going to need to work on. I need to increase my tolerance for unstructured time in PE. Sometimes it feels like there's so many things I know that I need to get to that I am reluctant to give students just exploration time. Unstructured time can also help students build skills that aren't inherent in other lessons, so that's an important thing for me to work on. And lastly, because my students are inherently curious about so many things, especially when those things are presented in a challenging way, I'd like to be able to give my students more leeway to work on the aspects of fitness that appeal to them and allow them to make fitness plans that they can follow outside of school. This would particularly apply to my 4th and 5th grade students who are going to be moving on to middle school soon and may not have all the time that we dedicate to PE. Module 4, Differential Techniques Applicable to Health and PE. The main points of Module 4 were that high-impact instructional strategies can build character and leadership skills, critical thinking skills, and also improve cultural awareness. This will help students live healthy lives once they have left your PE program, make them just better citizens overall. Planning high-impact lessons are meaningful, and means that students understand why we are learning things and how they are applicable to their lives. High-impact lessons are less top-down, appeal to student interest, and involve asking thought-provoking questions. The reading specifically called out power with, not power over, so it feels like a more shared PE experience. Teaching personal and social responsibility builds life skills, starts with basic things like respect and effort, and then grows as students get into the higher grades. Planning these lessons means teachers need to be very in tune with their student needs and understanding that every student might learn differently. Lastly, from the main takeaways, PE classes need to be inclusive, make sure that they are welcoming all students, especially those who have been traditionally excluded from PE class or marginalized from PE class. LGBTQIA students of color, non-native English speakers, and those who are less athletically inclined all fall into this. But in order to make PE a great experience for everyone, you have to be sure to be inclusive and reach out to those students. This is applicable to my own teaching. I need to make sure that my PE classes are places where everyone feels like somebody, that we all have worth, that we all deserve the chance to be physically literate, and that PE is for everyone. I do believe this, I just know that I need to do a better job of explicitly saying it to my students. And this is not as much of a challenge, but just to be clear that I'm avoiding dehumanizing language, encouraging effort over results, and give students a say in what they are learning. I'd like to tailor my lessons to my students, specifically to their needs and their interests. These can be combined in units. Teaching a social skill along with a sports skill is not that challenging. It just needs to be thoughtfully planned and sequenced. I'd also like to practice giving up some leadership in the class, giving students more responsibility when it comes to what PE looks like on a day-to-day basis. Choosing the warm-ups, creating skits and routines that students can present, and teaching students to give and accept constructive criticism or feedback are some specific examples of things that I would like to work on. Module 5, Planning and Instructional Risk Management and Legal Issue Considerations. Key points: building strong routines means wasting much less time in PE and gives the students more time to work on their skills. Recognizing students when they meet expectations, especially by giving specific and immediate feedback, helps keep them focused and on task. There's interrupting off-task behavior and then redirecting it helps specific students stay on task while the rest of the class is able to continue working. And then mindfulness-based practices such as verbal praise, reinforcement, and individualized support when needed help students reduce anxiety, promote mental health, and increase self-esteem. These apply to my teaching because I recognize that I need to work on my routines and procedure to maximize each class's PE time. I've started to do this already with my distribution and cleanup routines. My transitions are probably where I need to work on this the most. I need to continue to practice my response, interruption, and redirection in a way that allows the rest of my class to work while the response and interruption and redirection is taking place. I feel like I spend most of my time dealing with a handful of students, and I don't want that to be to the detriment of the rest of my classes. And I need to make my procedures more predictable, maybe by practicing them more, maybe by using more repetition. I try to be very careful about not letting my classes get too predictable, but I think in certain things, especially warm-up activities, just getting students moving and on task quickly and efficiently is something that I could really work on. The final module that we did, Module 6, Current Topics Impacting the Health and Physical Education Field. The key points there were that social emotional learning pairs very well with PE and health instruction, particularly when it comes to decision making, competition, and self-worth. SEL instruction needs to be sequential, active, focused, and explicit, and this can benefit all individuals as well as entire schools. Then we read an article about generative AI, and while this is intimidating to many, including myself, it is potentially a huge time saver and a collaboration tool for teachers. It can be used for lesson planning, assessment, creating activities, and cross-curriculum standard integration, among other things. AI can also adapt lessons for ELL students and students at varying skill levels, foreseeing stumbling blocks that teachers may not be able to anticipate. And then lastly, physical activity can fight depression, decrease feelings of loneliness, help memory, increase motivation, and help students stay alert. For those reasons, it can be argued that PE is actually the most important subject in school and should be getting more support across school districts. Applicable to my own teaching in that I'm finding that SEL skills help my students, and trying to incorporate them into PE lessons needs to be my own top priority. Helping my students become self-aware and better decision makers, as well as practice their social skills and self-management, is one of the reasons that PE is so important across the entire school. I would like to learn to use generative AI to improve my teaching, particularly in the assessment area, designing rubrics, and then differentiating lessons for a diverse set of learners. However, that comes with a warning: I don't want to get over-reliant, and if the humanity gets taken away from my teaching, then I don't think that's something that I want to stick around for. But the promise of incorporating EI does seem like a great idea. I also need to continue to promote the benefits of PE, not just in school, but in life. Physical activity has been a huge part of my own life. I'd like to demonstrate that for my students and teach my students how to continue on that path. I go out of my way to show up for extracurricular activities. I'm going to get better at explicitly teaching the life skills that come along with learning sports and playing sports. And then highlighting the benefits of a healthy lifestyle are all going to be integral parts of my PE program. And lastly, my takeaways and the why they're big takeaways. The biggest one to start is the importance of knowing your students. I think all teaching starts with relationships, and your students, particularly those that you see just over an hour a week, need to know that you believe in them and you believe in the subject you're teaching. Without that trust, it's really hard to build a PE program that is welcoming to everyone in your school. Another wow or another big takeaway is the importance of strong procedures and routines. When you're only seeing students for an hour to maybe 75 minutes a week, there's not a lot of time to waste. So every minute that you're off task is, basically 1% of your week that you've lost. So I'd like to continue to work on my material distribution and collection as well as my classroom management. Some of these things can seem trivial, but they save time in the long run, and that adds up to be a lot of instruction and a lot of skill practicing. I really liked the idea of using redirection to maximize on-task behavior. That was a big deal for me. As I said earlier, it seems like I deal with management issues from just a small handful of students. So if the rest of my class can be working while I'm dealing with interruptions and redirecting, that would be a big improvement to my own practice. I did like the idea of using AI to become a better teacher, save myself time, but also create better lessons that are specifically tailored to my own set of students. Having suggestions to help English language learners is also something that I need to work on. And then finally, and this was actually the biggest takeaway for me, the video that we watched about why PE is the most important subject is something that I strongly believe in, and the importance of lifelong physical literacy. I read once that if you could put the benefits of exercise in a pill, you'd be a billionaire. And so if you add the benefits of exercise, the benefits of having strong decision making and interpersonal skills, the benefits of choosing a healthy diet, nothing else that you do in life is possible without those things. So in my opinion, and I think I need to do a better job of promoting this, PE should be getting all the support that STEM education and humanities-based education, or any other of the hot topics that come along in education. It should be getting this as much support or more support than any of those, and when done correctly, you can actually incorporate most of those skills into a good PE and health program. All right, thank you very much. It has been a pleasure. I enjoyed the challenge. I really, really enjoyed the videos and the readings. I think this class did a great job of you get out of it what you put into it, and I feel like it made me a more self-aware and hopefully in the long run a much better physical education and health teacher. Good night.